Ah, I believe we're live.
Microphone. Where the hell they threw it? Sorry, keep forgetting. Anyway, so yeah, so let's just do what do a whole show just on what insulting, preposterously fat people who are tattooed and have those big giant piercings in their ear. So let's just make fun of them for an hour. No, let's not. Uh, so I don't really have an agenda. Um, I just figured I'd go and make some comment on a couple of things, Ken worthy, and I suppose with some general argument about something, perhaps. So maybe I'll try to do a little. I mean, I have been working on my yeah, um, the whatever the programming, the whole what do you call it? Yeah, well, this thing. I'll just screen share it, and then you'll get the idea. Arrows, and the arrows move and do stuff, and so yeah, I have to. I've been working on that, and but it's not not there yet, so requires more work. Wow, it runs really slow when I'm screen sharing. Cool. Yeah. Uh, so yeah. So you get the idea. It's gonna. It's figuring out how to arrange it so you can do it without trying to do the whole round thing, and in terms of the energy coming from all directions in 3 dimensions, and just trying to do it in a 2 dimensional model that'll satisfactorily um, mimic the real world. So, but anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I thought I would be further along by today, but it is what it is. Yeah. So, I mean, this looks terribly nothing right now, but I mean, if I put more stuff in the beginning, then it does lots of wacky things. But I don't want it to do wacky things. I want it to do actual science. So, yeah. So I've gotten it so it's cleaner, but it still doesn't do what it's supposed to do exactly right. So, still working on it. Anyway, um, yeah. So that was sort of news, but not really news. So we'll do some Ken crap, I suppose. So I mean, there were some things I wanted to. Wow, he did a live. He did videos after he. Well, I guess he put up that video. Yeah, all right. Let's see. The best in physics point system to grade and judge. No, I don't want to do that. Milk lenses, milk. I don't know about that. Tips, tricks. All lens manufacturers are lying to you. Okay, very exciting. Black and white. Nope. Okay, no science stuff there. The secret of the best. Wow, you have to really go back here far. All right, so I think it was this one that needs clarifications or something. You did a video on Steinmetz. I don't know where the hell. Smartest person you ever heard of. No, that's the one before that. Greatest author. I don't know if that's the right one either. Oh, somebody's barging in. Yes, always an admin. Yeah, sure you are. Yes, sure you are. Sorry, don't do the whatever you're doing thing. I don't do it. Uh, I mean, why do you come into a room as an admin and then breathe in my room? That's just rude. Anyway, I guess if he's an admin, he should be able to resist the blocking. He should have the special Bazuzu powers. Anyway. Well, anyway, he said the Steinmetz video is really interesting, though, because, yeah, this is the one. He just kept referring to him as this crippled guy. Well, I'll play it. It's just kind of bizarre that he just couldn't stop talking about him being crippled.
You need a website Why not do it yourself?
Oh, shut up.
With Wix.com, you can create your own stunning portfolio website.
Yes, right.
Choose-
Talk about one of the most intelligent people who ever lived that you never heard of.
Right.
They've written a famous book on what magnetism is, the first person in the world to discover how magnetism works.
Okay, the first person to discover how magnetism works. Bold statements backed up with nothing. It works by her hyperboloid stuck in between a donut. Okay, and that explains why magnets attract and repulse. So nothing else needed to see here. So he's insulting people. The worst thing about it, Ken, is he's playing this game where the rest of the physicists weren't allowed to just say things like that. They couldn't just go hyperboloid and everybody just say, oh yeah, sure, that's exactly it. They have to fit their physics into a model that meshes with the laws of conservation, the laws that you can't just have energy poof out of nowhere, all that kind of stuff. So they're in this tight little box that they have to come up with a theory that fits. And you're just playing some game where, I don't have to obey any rules. And then you're calling yourself a genius, and that you've proven something, and you somehow can declare you have done it. You've got the grail, and you can just show it to everybody. Well, you're not showing anything, and then you'll talk all this big talk, and then when somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Ken, I think I can defend the counter theory, the field theory." What do? You start ridiculing how they look, you stupid wimp. God, you're an incredible character. Haven't you ever heard the phrase, people who live in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones? Well, geez, for a smart guy, you don't know that truth, retard. Anyway, play a little more.
Yes, believe it or not, the book is free. I'm not selling it.
His book is free, but he never links to it, which is weird.
Some people think that, I just pulled all these things together, just yanked them out of my fanny, and wrote a book on.
I don't even think you yanked him out of a fanny. Frankly, it doesn't even have anything that's, shit would be more comprehensible.
Magnetism. None of these people knew how magnetism worked, but what it was intrinsically. But I would have never been able to get there without the works of people like this.
Okay, so the works of people like this now. So he'll give absolutely no reference, though, exactly to what work or what statement or what thing proven made the difference at all.
Guy before he died, and he's the crippled little person who is not only a dwarf, but I forget
the crippled little person, not only a dwarf, but a cripple and a hunchback and a freak show candidate. And it's just, I'm sure Steinmetz just really appreciates that the only thing that you can seem to understand or appreciate is about how somebody looks, not how they think, or not what they say, or not what they argue. You're an idiot.
Chondroplasia was actually, his hips are bent in like an angle. Could barely walk. Could barely walk. Always had a big fat cigar in his mouth. Charles Proteus Steinmetz. Before he died, he had more patents than you could shake a stick at. Wrote more books. If you took all of his books and laid them on someone's chest as they were laying down, you would kill the person. You would.
Right, fine, but why don't you just if you're going to do this thing where you're going to make these statements, why don't you show us one of the patents that was just so absolute, a patent for something absolutely brilliant that made human progress. Exactly. Oh yeah, forget that. Because it won't be quite as impressive. That's right. After after 100 years, it's going to be kind of like, oh, they figured out the bullhorn or something. They figured out how to put a ring in a bull's nose. Oh, yeah, that was a great invention. Let's see, what's this guy doing in my room? You're in. What are you doing? Up to no good, I suspect. But just have to find this stupid video this is connected to and see if there's nothing, no comment by this guy. So what's your point there, fella? What are you doing in the room? Huh? What? See if the chat works. No, nothing in the chat. Is there some reason you're here? Okay, well, there's reason for me not to let people just loaf around here. Yeah, I don't like vagrants, so go find some other bench to sleep on. Oh, brilliant this guy is. Let's see, Bazuzu Powers, what the fuck? Oh, that's really interesting. You act like you have 100 people watching you. I'm the only one. Well, there's actually 7 watching now, but regardless, I don't make videos for the current watchers, asshole. I post the videos. So who cares what you think, jackass? Anonymous. He has an anonymous icon. Michael Weston. Hey, clearly a douche of the bag. Yeah. Yes, you're just a douchey bag. Okay, fuck off. Anonymous cowards. Ugh. I mean, anybody who would sit there and wear that mask and say, I'm a great human being, I'm wearing an anonymous coward mask. Quite disgusting. Anyway, all right, back to business. Yeah, I'm still here. All right, so you don't need to see that part. We need to go back to this guy. Smartest man, yeah. So anyway, you just go through a whole.
On that many books.
So through a whole video.
General Electric considered this guy a god. Now you see this person behind him. Now here's the idiot Einstein standing next to him. Ironically, the only reason this picture was taken was because the famous idiot Einstein was visiting them.
Okay, so that's enough, right? I mean, you just get the gist of it. It's just all this stupid talk about how everybody who is in physics is an idiot except for this whoever and Steinmetz. Okay, and Tesla was a little bit not an idiot, but even he compared to Steinmetz is he's just a lesser character in the play now for some reason. So anyway, I guess I might as well go to the photo just for the fun of it. Yeah, so there's Steinmetz. And I thought the other image was here. Back to photo stream. Well, that would be nice if you went back to it. I'm looking for the group picture, though. That's not the group picture. Gee, where's the group picture? There it is. I don't know who that guy is. Weirdo. All right, zooming in. So there's Einstein, and there's Tesla behind Einstein. That's kind of interesting. Right there. Yeah. Sorry, I think that's Bohr guy next to Einstein. And I can't remember that. I remember that guy's face, but I don't remember who it is. Anyway. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Tesla and Einstein together. Yeah, maybe I'll cut that part out. Yeah, it's like big Hitler and little Hitler. They really certainly had a look, didn't they? Anyway, I guess that was very vogue back then. It was before Hitler. It's a before Hitler photo, so I guess everybody was doing the Hitler look before Hitler. I mean, this guy's got a real Hitler going. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess people couldn't have like full mustaches because everybody had lice or something. Well, anyway, enough of that shit. Yeah, I've had enough of that myself personally. All right, so we'll get rid of that window. All right, so let's talk some physics. But again, I challenge any one of Ken, supporters and defenders, all you people with your cheap little ridicules of my appearance in my house. Again, this coming from a gigantic, fat, bald, tattooed guy with holes in his ears. Ridiculing how other people look, just hilarious. pretty much hilarious. So anyway, yeah, any of you people, I'm here. If you think you can defend Ken's physics, because Ken has got no testicles, so he can't do it. That's right. Yeah, it's kind of a high voice because he has no testicles. Well, maybe one of you guys has got some voice, and maybe you can defend Ken's bullshit. And I'm here. If you want to PM me with a price tag, I mean, how much does it take to drag one of you cowards in here? I'm just curious. Not that I would pay it, but I might. I mean, if you're funny looking enough, right? Because that's what's important.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself?
All right.
With Wix, you can create your own
Same damn
professional
commercials
website.
over and over and over again. Oh, I hate that shit.
I had a discovery I made a couple weeks ago that I knew must exist.
Okay, you knew
And I
this.
thought I would
Just
wait
discovered
until I
it.
grabbed a hold of the XT2 because one of the, you may not know this,
Oh,
but
yeah, one of the great
this is actually
pleasures
been a
is
thing
to
among
blah blah
cameras
blah
for a long
is
time.
to
It's like when a new
initiate a
rolls out,
camera.
that camera is used
I think around
to take the first picture of
316,
something.
like around biblical times,
It's like
Ken started saying something stupid. I think this is the video anyway.
is bending underneath the centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence. But what I did is I took a more powerful magnet, and then I knew that simply by changing the shutter speed, keeping the aperture, and everything's absolutely the same. If I go up here, I can show you. The only difference is I have a 5 second 5 second exposure on the left and an 8.5 second exposure on the right. Nothing has changed, nothing has moved other than the shutter speed. You can even look close.
All right, so he's claiming that this demonstrates that there's a shift, a blue shift in the light. Now, first off, it's LED lights, and these are notorious, right, for at least, it depends on what kind of LED you have, right? Because they make LEDs that are deliberately warm. They produce a little more red, so they don't look quite as blue, obviously. So, and then cameras, I think most people's experience would be that, they'll also do the same thing. The less light, the less red the image gets because it has a filter in it that, blocks infrared. Pretty much. And so you tend to go green and then eventually blue as you, as long as you maintain a saturation, your colors will get blued as you lower the exposure. So these are like common, photography events. So this is a photographer guy, and he's pretending like that might not have anything to do with this crap. That this is just an optical effect based on that same condition. So again, it's just about what the LED light is producing. But it doesn't repeat the experiment. Doesn't even show us him doing the experiment. Doesn't show us him flipping the magnet over and getting the reverse effect. So, I mean, it's just all this crap saying, here, I've discovered something with no repeatable experiment because he doesn't even describe accurately what the experiment is. And then he makes these claims, again, about what this ferrocell is capable of doing that aren't based on any kind of physics or facts or reality. And so, this isn't the video I was looking for, but we'll play a little. I guess I wanted the bird one. Not that I want to do the whole bird one, but I guess there was a part of it that was kind of interesting.
You can see the specs of dust are exactly the same. I mean, it's all exactly the same. Nothing has moved. Just took another shot at 8 seconds. What happens, and no one else has ever seen this before. Nobody else has ever seen this before.
All right, let's go to the photo, actually. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Let's do the photo thing again. Because it's not much of a photo, frankly, for all these $5,000 frickin' cameras. You'd think you'd have a better photo. A better quality image, anyway. Yeah, I'm just not enough. I don't remember all my you know, f6.4, blah, 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 blah. I don't know all this size stuff. But obviously he's using a very small aperture for some reason, because 5 seconds is a very long exposure. 8 seconds is a huge exposure. So obviously he's using a very, very tiny aperture, which is the whole Newton's rings things becomes part of the equation. And you can sort of see some of that here in that it's the blueness is, it does appear to have some of this ring effect happening. So I don't even know whether it's the size of the aperture. He's basically creating a prism. He's basically separating the light into its whatever you call that, blah blah blah. But again, I don't know what exposure would have to do with that beyond the fact that obviously with more exposure, like I said, this is just a tendency with all cameras. They tend to go blue with less exposure. So that's, to me, probably just like a real common phenomenon. And that as you go soft, warmer, more light, it's basically to get to the white, you're basically just saturating, more red, to compensate for the blue. And you can sort of see that it's kind of orange. But anyway, this doesn't really matter. But I'm just saying, this isn't, if this is the standard for an experimental demonstration, right? So there's nothing really complex in this experiment, no complex moving parts really, very simple, and yet he can't diagram it simply in the sense that he doesn't, show us anything else. He just shows us this. Well, why don't you show us what a 2-second exposure looks like? Because maybe that's completely blue. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not much of a scientific experiment. Pretty lame and poor and incomplete and pretty useless. All right, so I get rid of that. I don't know what this symbol is you put in front of this. Strange. Anyway, so anyway, never before seen by anyone. Blah, 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 blah. So exposure duration phase shift, he's calling it.
The XT2 is the first camera to capture this. It's something that I discovered back in early September, that I knew that doing this, and by changing the exposure, obviously the one on the right is a little bit brighter, but the one on the right is a lot more red. I've taken the...
It's a little strange because this photo on his computer seems to look so much better than the actual photo on my computer, which doesn't make any sense. This one's in the video. I went to the actual photo and you don't have this kind of contrast, but I guess that's the monitors doing that. So again, another effect of the effects. Oh, look, another anonymous troll. Wow. How cool is that? Oh, it's not cool at all. It's really quite horrible. Go away, bad people. Go away, I requested. I requested your ejection. Okay. Anyway. Trolls. I better check my comments in case somebody has some complaint. Let's see. Hey, Gary, what do you think about Elon Musk's new plans for Mars? Well, any plan for Mars is retarded. I think these billionaires who waste money on this silly, putty show science I'd shoot billionaires, all of them, and I'd shoot them first, frankly. I'm pretending I'm for the human race and I'm doing something constructive. Yeah, let's send 5 retards to Mars so they can butt fuck each other in less gravity and while they're throwing up. Really cool. Yeah, let's put that as a TV show. Let's throw up on Mars. It'll be really cool and fun. No, it'll be really stupid and pointless. I should just hack people's arms off on TV and make that a TV show. Going to Mars is just essentially saying, let's torture assholes. It'll be really cool. Let's torture them. Because torture's fun. Sorry, I had to deal with another anonymous asshole. I mean, they really are terrorists. That's all it is. Anonymous is synonymous with terrorists. They can't make an argument, so they have to be terrorists. Just like crazy Muslims. They can't defend their insane, stupid religion, so they have to kill everybody. They can't convert them. They can't make a persuasive argument except to a 5-year-old and scare them to death. But any rational person is going to say, "What, are you crazy?" Unless of course they're living in a slum somewhere. Those are the only people they can convert, are people living in a slum. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, sending something to another planet is just idiotic. We've already been to Mars. We went to Mars in the 80s, for fuck's sake. It's such an old, we've been there, done that. This whole thing, like they keep doing it. They just keep sending something saying, "Oh, it's all new. We saw rounder rocks. They're really cool." Okay, so I guess you have an unlimited ability to make accounts, huh, Brandon? Well, whatever. There's not much I can do about it. Brandon Smith. It says Brandon Smith. Anonymous icon. Fucking terrorist troll on the internet. I hope your daddy died of cancer appropriately. Because that's what he deserved. Anything gave birth to you. He put he populated his seed, troll seed. I really think we ought to have a law where parents are humiliated for their children. So you really have to make public what kind of crap people give birth to, so you can humiliate them properly and let them know just what a piece of scuzz their kids are. Because I'm sure your parents would be very proud of you being a troll on the internet. Yeah, it's just such a magnificent accomplishment. But maybe someday somebody will run for president who says we should shoot trolls in the head until they're dead. Look, you just keep working, don't you? You have an endless supply, right? So YouTube gives you an endless supply of retarded accounts because YouTube's a piece of shit. Yeah, Google sucks. Google's a terrorist. I mean, there's no excuse. They run this software. They gotta know that, hey, that guy's going in and out of rooms all night. Maybe we should stop people like that. Maybe. Amazing. Amazing commentary on just you people will settle for, well, Google's our friend. Google's good. Google's great. Google's God, the God of trolls. So, it's pointless. Just waiting to see. I might as well give him another shot. Might as well not start talking, so I have to get interrupted again. Might as well. Our little mechanical things that need fixing here, so I can fix those while we wait. Okay, so where was I? I wasn't playing my video. Oh, I tried reading the comment. Spreading the cancer isn't a good idea. I don't know what that means, but I don't think cancer spreads, generally speaking. Oh, I've heard this crap already, you idiot. So basically it took 4.4 billion years for humans to develop on Earth, and we got another 4 billion to go. Again, you think there's 4 billion years before a comet hits the Earth? And I think you're daydreaming. Oh yeah, stick only on this planet. Well, again, what are you going to send into space? So how are you going to do the racial profiling, Einstein? Let's say you can send 6 people to your nirvana, your singularity. We're going to save the human race, and you can send 6 people. What's 6? Retard. And you're going to feel all satisfied. Oh, yes, I'm represented because there's one who's fat and stupid like me. So, yeah, you'll feel all represented because there's going to be a fat, stupid, bald, tiny penis guy going. But frankly, I'm going to be totally uninterested because, yes, nobody intelligent or cool like me is going to be stupid enough to buy that ticket. Yeah, no fucking way. So, yes, my kind will be very happy to die here in peace. And not sit there and play some stupid game like, oh, look, we're accomplishing something by being in space and eating tubes of our own poo. You know, it's just, you people are pathetic. You're just so desperately up your own ass. You think you're so fucking worth it, huh? Duh. Are you an atheist? I think I'll block somebody just for asking a question that fucking cunt's stupid. I mean, why don't you do a little research before you fucking bother to fucking make a comment on one of my videos? So, yeah, fuck you, stupid ass. I really don't ask stupid ass questions. If you want to ever say anything in the future, don't ask a question that's just too fucking stupid. Please, you don't insult my intelligence by just being a complete ass. It's hilarious. You were an atheist. You know. Why don't it's just these people. They think they're entitled for you to redo your whole life for them. Are you an atheist? What do you think of? And what do you think of? And yes, I'll redo all my videos for over the last 10 years. I'll redo all of them just for you. It'll be so cool. Why is there no God? What's your argument? My argument is there's no evidence of one, retard. I thought I got rid of you, cunthead. But obviously we know there's no argument for a God. That's why there is no God. It's because it's a silly fable. So go ahead, anonymous guy. Go across the internet defending your fables too. So he's anonymous for Jesus. Yes, he wears the anonymous mask for Jesus. I'm a terrorist for Jesus. God, humans. Really, they really are just so full of suck. Let's see. So you are more comfortable with the human species to go extinct. I'm more comfortable with everything going extinct. Yes, because none of it's worth a damn, you stupid fuck. Yeah, well, I mean, you're just so full of your own delusions. You really think you're a Jedi, huh? No, you're a fucking parasitic robot. That's all you are. And you're making a huge mess. You're just torturing a bunch of sentient creatures for no goddamn good reason. And you haven't accomplished a motherfucking thing in your whole goddamn life that's worth a shit. And you think there's some reason to spread that in the universe, to spread your silly fantasies. And, are you going to take your little machine that butt fucks you with a dildo? Are you going to take that into space with you? God. I mean, if I took what's in your fucking head, nobody would want to send that into space, and you goddamn know it. I mean, you're just daydreaming about the dog licking your ass. And there's nothing brilliant going on in your stupid fucking piece of shit brain. Then why are we on Earth? I mean, duh. Yeah, duh. Oh no, the planet couldn't have possibly an accident. You mean like there wasn't a God who did it on purpose and made this wonderful system of feeling organisms eating each other alive? And it's so smart to especially and then make an Adam and Eve, and then to get revenge against Eve's horrible abomination, you'll torture all of her children for all of time, forever and ever. You'll torture her children. Ooh, What a lovely idea. Fables are so much fun. Whether we came from something or nothing, we didn't come from anything intelligent, you stupid cunt. Oh, you think it's fucking logic. Well, you go fuck yourself in the ass until you're dead. Fucking logic. Anyway. So how are you not being a nihilist? Well, didn't you hear me say the word feeling creatures, idiot? I mean, you're just too stupid, right? You're just asking to be blocked, right? You think it's nihilism to point out how suffering being wasted is an abomination. It's a sin. It's a disgusting thing to do. There's about nothing as stupid as unnecessarily torturing feeling things. And until you come up with some necessary function that your stupid, scuzzy, putrid life actually accomplishes, you can't justify torture, cunt. I'm not the nihilist, fuckhead. You are. You're the fucking nihilist. You're the fucking cunt making silly excuses for your fucking useless, damaging, expensive existence. Your existence is fucking expensive. You never accounted for any of it. Okay? Billion years of organisms going ouch so you can daydream about your dog licking your anus. Well, good. Then go do it. Go fuck yourself. Very good. Oh, when I'm in hell, he says I'm going to regret something. Yeah. Yeah, dream on, retard. Anyway, where was I? Back to the physics, please. All right, play a little more of this video and then go to the other one.
Less dominant magnet and given it a longer time to develop. No one has ever seen this before. Actually, the implications of what can be done with this, I'm not going to get into. But that means that simply by changing the shutter speed, you see how blue the one on the left is?
Simply by changing the shutter speed on the camera, you magically converted the actual event taking place in the ferrocell. Is that your argument? If that's your argument, it's preposterously stupid. And yes, your evidence is way too thin for such a bold statement that the ferrocell knew what the exposure on the camera was. No, that wouldn't be very logical.
And I read the one on the right. The links for this are below. Simply by changing the shutter speed, I can color shift the image that has appeared.
Yeah, right. And we just know if I look right now, I could go turn the lights off. Right here, I'll turn the light off. All right. And so I'll put me back on just for the sake of the experiment. So we'll stop screen sharing. All right. So that's one light. Wow. It's still pretty good. I turned the biggest light off and it's still pretty good. Maybe I'll just put my little squinty fingers in here and see if I can squish the light out now. Okay, squish the light out. Maybe I can pinhole it. No, that didn't work. But you can imagine, yes, what if the other light was off? But anyway, we know the color changes, right? So you could see that I'm pretty white there. And if I turn this light on, okay, I'm pretty white. Yeah, so yeah, they're all LED lights now, so they all have this, white thing happening. I mean, see how white the shirt is? It's just total white balance. But I think you get the idea that all you'd have to do is dim the lights, and then the color will all start turning green. Not a huge, not all that interesting. All right, so we'll go to that screen share, and we'll go to the other video. Well, let's just go a little further in here, see if he says anything more coherent.
Predictions of neat phenomenon that nobody has ever seen before, ever. So there it is. It was captured with the Fuji X-T2. If you want to take a look at the EXIF data,
The X of data. It's not really a data.
Isn't magnetism cool? Like when you really understand what magnetism does and how it works, what's fascinating.
If you understood how your microphone works, you wouldn't keep doing that thing where you know, because yeah, you're stereo, then you're mono, then you're right, then you're left. You probably should fix that.
The thing is that what happens then is that you're able to make these extremely accurate predictions of neat phenomena that nobody has ever seen before.
Right. So this bold thing, like he's seeing something that's actually meaningful in this Pharaoh cell, which is it's a toy. I mean, the guy who invented it is basically selling it as a fucking toy. He's not selling it as a scientific instrument because he knows it's a fucking toy. It's a distortive vision. It's two thin layers of glass, okay, with a fluid in between that's sensitive to magnetism. So it collects where the magnetism is strong. It bends the glass. It distorts the image. I mean, it's creating its own lens. Anyway. So yeah, enough of that. So we'll go back to the other video. And let's see. I guess this is it. Secret of Nature. I thought I played that one already, the bird one. There was some video that it was 3 minutes into it that he says something really stupid. Well, I'll see if it's 3 minutes into this one. And the silly, awful, horrible commercial.
You won't find. Okay.
Crappy commercials.
This is my discovery from last year.
My discovery from last year. I know how everything happens. I know everything, except I won't defend any of my bullshit.
Of magnetism, I've actually got 4 formulas that actually follow. It's actually called electromagnetic retardation. In other words, it's a phase shift. The simplest one.
Yeah, okay. So it's electromagnetic retardation. It's a phase shift, and we're talking about magnetism. You know, so. First you have to define how you know that magnetism even has phases.
Way of describing this, and I'll get to the secret of Mother Nature and how birds navigate here very, very quickly. The secret of Mother Nature is that around every magnet, and it doesn't matter how the magnet is shaped, there is a phase shift. What that means is that there is a phase differential, kind of like a pressure differential, that occurs at the exact same ratio if you're to take an egg.
Oh yeah, we did this already. Okay, so I don't know what. There was some other video that had some sort of relevant bibble babble in it, but I don't remember which one it was. So the fuck it, the hell with it. So anyway, don't want to say anything about phased magnetism. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, not out of a real magnet. I don't think it's doing any. I don't think it's doing anything frequency dependent. So I don't think it's doing anything phasable. But who knows? I mean, I won't say emphatically no, because electrons are electrons, and they could certainly be doing something at a frequency so high we can't detect it. But I'd still argue that it's not about phase, it's about polarity. So I think quite obviously. So I don't think phasing has anything to do with it. So enough of that. Where do I want to go? Is there anything else here to fiddle with? I don't think so. Unless I go to the video. Is that this video? Yes, it is. So there's the chat. Huh, at least that's one way of getting the chat in the actual room, which is sort of interesting. Almost in the room. Anyway, let's see how many jerks, what the jerks have been saying. So then what do you think we go and die? So then where do you think we go when we die? You go the same place. Let's see if we can find a metaphor for it. When water evaporates, yeah, you go back into the system. So where do I think a glass bottle goes when it goes in the recycling bin? Yeah, it makes new bottles. Yeah. So the bottle that said Yahoo on it is going to be turned into the bottle that might say Coolio. Anyway, you look like a rapist. Oh, cool. Well, that's just so interesting. I'm glad. I mean, frankly, that's a pretty cool look. Rapist, yeah. Not that I was going for that, but you know, I'll take it. It's better than whatever your look is, anonymous Illuminati. What a waste of time. Yeah, see you in Barbados then. Yeah, exactly. Wrong age. That's what I like to call it. You know, you just go off to Barbados. Happy ending. La la la. The waves come crashing to the shore. The sun sets. You go to sleep, and you just never wake up. That's cute. Send me a postcard. I'll make sure Lucifer is in it. You know what that means. So you're some believer in, you know, the demons. You believe in demons. Pazuzu. Yes, Pazuzu. That's a great name for a demon. Eminem, are you the reincarnation of what? I don't even know what that is. But no, I'm not the reincarnation of a genital disease. All caps is obnoxious. This is true. Coming to see Nirvana, relieve yourself from external reincarnation. I don't even know what that meant. Coming to seek Nirvana. I don't know. Whatever pagan guy. Just fuck off with that shit. Not really interested. It's not science, you know. So anyway. Ugh, useless chatters. Frankly, yes, quite. So anyway, I was thinking that you know, the next video, I do have to make a video just doing the whole from beginning to end thing again. Just because those are fun to make. Yes, I'll get rid of the screen share, I guess. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have made this video because I really didn't have that much. I just wanted to make a couple of responses to Ken's bullshit. And like I said, just keep reiterating that if any of these cowards, these are supposed to be intellectuals, you know, these are supposed to be intelligent people, and all they talk about is how people look and pizza. You know, in the live rooms are just, you know, complete shit. And apparently, a bunch of people have a bunch of way too much time and money on their hands, you know, because they can buy $5,000 cameras. I use a $5 camera. You know, broken, of course, but I mean, the part that takes pictures works. It's just you can't see what you're taking a picture of, you know, which is okay because you kind of know the idea, right? What do you need to see what you're taking a picture of for, right? You kind of know the picture goes in the little hole in the front, so I just point the front thing at something and it'll get the picture. Lucifer means the devil fucktard, right? Well, the devil is the thing that has the minions, the demons, you know, that work for it. The devil doesn't actually show up. But you think I'm really afraid that Lucifer himself is going to make an appearance? Let's see. You look like your record with your fucking dick. It's what, too small and bad quality. I don't even know what that means, but you know, there's evidence of what, you know, whatever. So I've already proven myself on that, you know, that category of judgment. The evidence is out and can be fairly judged by those interested. Fucktard.
Professor Gary.
Hey, it's the Michael guy again. What are you doing?
You're not calling me a fucktard again.
I didn't do that. I said the Michael. I said the Michael guy. I didn't even.
That's all right.
I hadn't gotten to the insults, you know, the whole British twat thing and whatnot.
The thing about that is I'm not even from Britain.
Well, you just sound like it.
I know. I'm from Australia, but I've got a...
Oh, yeah, that thing. Oh, yeah, that's even more retarded.
A convict
Yeah.
offspring.
Yeah, twatty criminals. You couldn't even make it in the twat capital. So you,
Don't start. Let's just keep it about science.
yeah, right. Like an Australia would know anything about that.
How are you today?
Yeah, well, I'm, you know, not terrible, so that's my standard. So
Yeah, just coping, getting by. How's the room treating you?
well, generally speaking, it's just troll after troll after troll.
Okay. Well, I thought I'd just pop in. I did some reviews of last night. I was looking at Newton's rings. You mentioned Newton's rings the other day when we spoke, so I had a look at some MIT videos last night. They were pretty simple stuff. They were just showing people the practical experiment of the laser being shot through some splits and some circles. I'm still quite perplexed as to how they come up with this to be a wave. I do see why you would be pretty upset about them concluding that this is a wave, because to my simple mind, it just looks like, I'm going to use the word reflections rather than refractions, but they look like shadowing.
Well, I mean, obviously it's hard to shadow when there's no physical impediment, you know what I mean? So to me, it's the word diffraction seems an adequate word, in the sense that what seems obvious is that when the photon travels through the middle of the aperture, it goes straight through, right? That's why the middle circle is bright. And then when it doesn't go, it goes closer to one of the sides. Somehow it's getting diffracted. That means, it's changing course by some specific angle. So it ends up at specific points based on specific angles. And so I would argue that that's really just a phenomenon of electrons. There's electrons next to surfaces. All matter has a field around it of electrons, that lining up on its charge lines, you know what I mean? So say we're all like, even when you're neutrally charged, you're still charged. Okay, so much as they say a neutral, there's no such thing as a neutral. You always have electrons and protons, and they're always in some sort of balance. So that's what the electrons are lining up on, just like magnets line up. The electrons find a place that's neutral and they stay there until something tells them they have to move. And so when the photon hits them, they're not in a place where they can move straight. You know what I mean? They're not like an empty space where there's no field interfering with them. You know what I mean? No specific field. See, if you put an electron far enough away from everything, the influences will be so weak that the electron won't care, if you get what I'm saying. But if it's right next to something, then the field is strongly influencing it. So now the electron has to follow the path of the field lines. You get me? So where in open space it would be free to move straight, when it's next to a surface, it can't move straight because it's kind of living in a neutral territory. It's on a road. And so it has to kind of go the direction of the road, which is the field lines. So that's why the electron moves at a specific angle, is because the field lines produce that angle. And so that's why the photon ends up at a specific point, is because the electron travels a specific distance because of the energy of the photon, and it'll end up in that location based on that influence.
But so once again, so we're having this interesting conversation again. And look, the other day, the video we made together, when we spoke the other day, you actually said quite a lot in quite a short space of time. I watched that video where we spoke about 4 times in our discussion, right? So you are using incredibly simple language to explain this, but you do actually say quite a lot. So
yeah, no, I'm not trying to trip you up. I was just trying to explain what I would offer as an explanation that goes a little further than just saying diffraction. Just saying diffraction isn't saying anything, right?
Yes.
So I'm just saying that if I was to explain what diffraction is really photons, even for rainbows, any kind of diffraction. Anytime you see light go a direction you didn't expect it to, like a prism or anything, well, what's really happening is the photon is hitting an electron, traveling with the electron for a few inches or whatever, or I mean inches in its space, you know what I mean? A little tiny distance, it goes with the electron, and then it's readmitted as a photon again. And that's how photons interact with electrons. They don't necessarily stay in the electron, they just stay for a little while and then they fly back out. And if the electron travels a straight line, then you have something called transparent. And if the electron travels a crooked line, you have something called diffraction.
Okay, but in this instance, to me, when I looked at Newton's rings, right, they're shooting this laser light through a hole. The first thing that comes to my mind is those rings are created by a deflection where it's hitting the edge of the ring and it's casting shadow type rings. But I do hear what you're telling me about photons.
Yeah, at first I was thinking about that too, but the trick to that is if I make the walls of the hole very large, I don't increase the likelihood of the phenomenon. if you get what I'm saying.
So once the aperture gets too big, the phenomena stops, right?
Well, I'm just saying if I made the aperture in some thick material, like an inch thick material, and I put a tiny hole in an inch thick material,
Mm-hmm.
you would think there would be a whole lot of reflections. You know what I'm saying? Because there'd be more surface for it to reflect off of.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not what really happens. So it sort of puts to rest the idea that the photons are actually hitting the edge of the material and then bouncing off.
Okay.
And that would require a reflection anyway. You know what I'm saying? Technically, you're basically a reflection means you have to absorb it in an electron. The electron has to turn and then re-emit the photon, or it has to reflect in 3 ways off the interior of the atom. You know what I'm saying? Like a rainbow. I mean, a rainbow is basically 2 reflections, and the double rainbow is basically the 3rd reflection inside of a water droplet. You know what I mean? So the light is hitting 3s. It's being absorbed and then reflected. I mean, re-emitted 3 times to create the 2nd rainbow.
I've seen those double rainbows probably only maybe 3 or 4 times in my life, and you notice that it's you know, the spectrum of light, and then it starts all over again. It goes from, you know, ultraviolet all the way through to dark, and then green and yellow, and then it starts.
Yeah, it's actually opposite the regular pattern. So if you really look at it,
it's a mirror.
It's actually the opposite order. Okay.
Yeah.
So where one is green blue, red at the top, the double rainbow is blue at the top.
Yeah.
There technically there always is one. Technically, it's just that sometimes it's not really visible. But if you I think it's like 23 degrees.
Do you mean there's always 2?
Yeah, there's always a double rainbow. It's just that
but you can't see it.
You don't see it, you know, because of the atmospheric conditions. Like it's the clouds start to be in the way, or somebody else is in the way, so you don't see the reflected light.
Yeah, I actually only recently wanted to know why the sky was blue, so I had to look through one of those Harvard University lectures, and the guy said, "Oh, the light's getting deflected off the dust particles, and some get trapped, and some get let through." And he did some sort of a chemical experiment in the laboratory there for his students. I think he had sodium, and he shot a light source through it, and he just threw it.
Yeah. I think that's Professor Lewin. I think
Lewin,
yeah, that's the MIT.
Your Huygens buddy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's one of those videos you have to watch a few times, because even I watched it a couple of times, and I was still like trying to get the chemistry right. I wish he would have put the chemistry, because it's an ion, you know, and the ions are getting changed by the exposure to the ultraviolet light, and the whole thing it stops working. It's kind of funny that there's only so many of these ions in the atmosphere, and that's why everything goes orange, is because at a certain point there's so much atmosphere the light's going through, like the sun is shining through, that it uses up all the chemistry, and it runs out of chemistry, and that's why it turns red, which is kind of funny.
How does it use it up? Would you think that those sodium particles, are you talking about the experiment?
Well, I'm talking about the actual atmosphere. Yeah, there's only so many ions available, and basically there's so much ultraviolet light coming off the sun that it wipes them all. It wipes out all the ones available to create the chemical reaction. So the chemical reaction ceases to take place because it wiped them all out, and that's why it all starts to go red.
All right, I'll have to maybe have a look.
Like I say, it annihilates the filter. It just uses the filter up, and then the filter's clogged, or however you want to describe it, but the filter can't filter anymore. So then the effect starts going orange, because there's nothing to compensate for the amount, all the orange light isn't being stopped anymore, or however it works.
Okay.
Like I said, I need to watch it. It's the kind of thing where like I said, I'd have to watch it. I really have to stay familiar, for me anyway. That was just one where I just kept getting the chemistry. I kept trying to think of the chemistry, and I just couldn't quite get it right in my head.
Yeah. See, that's like when I speak with you. I said the other day, you know, it's too much. I can't take it in. I can't process it. So I actually, I rewatched your video the other day, and I've come up with some questions for you. So you're all right to take a couple of questions now. It's a bit of a dissection from what we discussed the other day.
All right, but let me just start with one for you. Because I wanted to say a little bit about this subject, so I just thought I'd bring it up just as a little quickie. Because because in physics now they're talking a lot about virtual photons, right? So they've usually used this term virtual photon, and really what it means is like in the case of the force of magnetism, what they've basically acknowledged, to my benefit, right, hugely to my benefit, is that the force of magnetism behaves just like, okay, there were a bunch of photons being emanated by the magnets, okay, that were creating the effect on the electrons in, say, a conductor next to the magnet, right? So I'm initiating electricity, and what they're basically saying is that the field leaves the magnet just like if it was photons being emanated, and they were pushing electrons just like photons do. So that's why they use the word virtual photon, is because they're basically saying it acts just like, right, photons, which is actually what I'm saying is that it's not virtual, it's actual. And I'm explaining that they really are gravity. So it's really gravitons being converted into magnetons. And there's a very subtle difference, right? The only difference between gravity and magnetism is polarization. And polarization can be filtered for. Therefore, you can have a very dramatic difference in effect because you can filter for that effect.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a shift in the way they explain some of these things, possibly because of your videos. And I'll tell you another example. I don't want to go too much into the genesis of the formation of the planet, but I've looked into other people's videos on the expanding Earth. And a lot of people obviously think that the Earth was created by meteors and comets coming together. I now don't subscribe to that. I actually think there is something to the planet expanding. I could be wrong, but just looking at those videos, the people that have made those expanding Earth videos, some of the statements that they've made about gravity has now been expressed in the views of NASA.
Yeah, well, I think it's the idea of what happens once you start condensating from gas. You know what I mean? Just the idea that gas condensates into heavier compounds. I mean, obviously, the stuff that got here to make the Earth is a bunch of elements that were created in big bangs, right? You know what I mean? So, like you go through all the elements, and you say none of them came from here; they came from somewhere else. So, obviously, they had to come from something that actually consolidated these independent individual molecules.
And you've got an interloper.
Yeah, apparently. Well, he left on his own, so good enough. Didn't cause any trouble. I don't know what.
So I guess the point, I presume you're saying that some of your theories or what you believe to be happening with the emissions of magnetism as photons, you believe now is becoming perhaps a mainstream expression?
Well, I mean, it isn't even just now. I mean, Feynman would use this term virtual photon, so it's not like it's exactly a brand new thing. I'm just saying that the idea that they are using this rhetoric more often now. Now they're starting to use the word virtual photon to talk about the interaction between protons and electrons. So I'm just saying that the more they say the words virtual photon, I'm just saying that's all win for me. Because what I'm arguing is this is a real force. It's not a nothing force. It's a something force. Okay, it's not just a. It behaves like it is like. Okay, it's not that it looks like it is like. You know.
I'll have to read up on that term, virtual photons, and I'll have to become a little bit more familiar with that. So I just want to, if I can just dissect a little bit what we spoke about the other day. We were talking about I'm just going to read what I've written here, right? So just to recap, the field pressure is the piranha, and the piranha quanta are in effect attempting to realign or cause the other quanta inside the electron to be polarized, but this effect is being repelled. Is that a correct sort of statement? So the fish are the quanta inside the electron.
Yeah, it's all fish everywhere.
Well, they're quanta, right? But we're just calling them.
Right. And the only thing I'm saying that makes matter matter is that the quanta that are inside of us are all, let's say, wearing a blue or red suit. So everything else is, let's say, green, the field
energy. That's my next line.
Right. And
piranha in a bowl, moving from red to blue, red to blue.
Right. So we're just trapped. We have a bunch of red to blue that's trapped inside of us, and it's got this constant pressure. So each individual bit going down, like I could say, like the big body, you can sort of see that as being gravity itself. But we know that gravity really is a nuclear force. Okay, I mean, we can say that my body gets pushed by gravity, but what we know to be the truth is I could rip my body into a million little pieces, and each little piece will fall at exactly the same speed as my body. So my body could be torn to pieces, you know, just put here as little dots of flesh, and that will be affected by gravity exactly like my whole body was. There'll be no difference in how it will move. So it's the little bits that are being affected by gravity. So I'm basically saying that, yes, that's the fish, and the fish are really holding the electrons together and the protons together. That's the thing that's really being pushed together, and it's being pushed together because it's all green fish, let's say on the outside, trying to get in, and it's all blue and red fish on the inside trying to get out, and they don't like each other. So they keep banging off. They go exactly opposite. So when a red fish hits a green fish, it turns into a blue fish going the opposite way. And then when a blue fish hits a green fish, it turns into a red fish going the opposite way. So they're just trapped inside that pressure of their color. So it's their color that means everything. And so if I send a bunch of blue fish into something that's mostly blue fish, it'll go right straight through it. If I send red fish, the red fish will do exactly what the green fish do, which is they'll cause a reflection. So
is
now,
that where the turtle's actually flying through the shell? If it's a blue on blue, is that where the turtle swims?
Yeah, well, the blue on blue is like when I describe the fundamentals of a kinetic reaction. See, if I make a if I make a kinetic reaction, quick drawing. If it's one color, okay, you won't be able to tell whether they bounced off of each other, like this took a right angle and this one took a right angle. You won't be able to tell, right? You can't tell whether they went straight through each other or whether they right angled, because the end result will be exactly the same. You know, if I start with two arrows coming in from the bottom, you get? But if they're polarized, it's quite obvious it's a different universe. You know what I'm saying? The black didn't go straight through. The black took a 90-degree turn. The red took a 90-degree turn. So this creates a different universe, where this creates exactly the same universe. So nothing changes here. So when same color hits same color, it's like nothing happened. It's like they went straight through each other. When different color hits different color, something very dramatic happened. So I'm just saying, if this was a head-on collision instead of a right angle, you could get my point. The head-on collision would be a reversal of the color. So the black would, if it was black was going up, black would be going down, right? So that it would be, everything reflects. So when it's a different color, it reflects. When it's the same color, it goes straight through. So what I'm saying is when the same color hits, it's like there's no force at all. When a different color hits, it's strong force.
Yeah, and so the same colors are of equal polarity. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when the same polarization hits, the reaction is when it's a kinetic reaction, pure kinetic. It's almost invisible. You can't tell whether they went right through each other or they reflected. You can't even tell. One thing ends up going that way. One thing ends up going this way. No way to tell whether they reversed or whether they went straight through each other. Both universes would look exactly the same. And what I'm saying is when they're different polarization, though, then the polarization deflects and you have a clearly different outcome.
I know the other day you drew a detailed diagram in one of your videos with all of your arrows. So I'll try and locate that video. This is why last week I was saying, can you label your videos a little bit better? So if you put arrows on it, or like your bullshit, what was his name? Brian Green bullshit video. That's about the two-split experiment for anybody watching. So if you want to go and see a good video, have a look at the Brian Green bullshit. But I will try and locate your video with your arrows so I can try and understand that a little bit better. I'm just going to go on to another question. So we were talking about hang on. So you said E equals mc squared requires energy to create gravity. Therefore, they created the battery outside of physics. Now, this statement reminds me of a YouTube video where the teacher is demonstrating gravity with a blue sheet of rubber stretched over a round ring, and he drops balls on it. He's using gravity to demonstrate the proof of gravity, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
that's bullshit. It's just a ridiculous thing to teach students, as far as I'm concerned. How can you prove gravity by dropping balls on a blue sheet? That's not. That's
Well,
and that's the base, right?
it proves the relationship. So it just shows you the relationship is basically this is the inverse square rule being made visual. You know what I mean? This is making visual the acceleration. So in that sense, it has some value. But yeah, you're contriving the energy, you know, you're stealing it. And then when you do it in 3 dimensions, you know, this is the real trick, right? So when you take this convergence, and then you say, okay, let's do it in the real world, right? Because this is only a 2-dimensional, right? So the sheet thing is a 2-dimensional model, which is useless in terms of it's not the real thing, right? So in 3 dimensions, you realize that what they're really just talking about is a vacuum cleaner from all directions, you know, an opposite light bulb, some kind of mechanism that just sucks in all the time from all directions. Well, that obviously, you say, where's the energy for that? You can't even use gravity to make it work in 3 dimensions, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? In 3 dimensions, there's no downhill anymore. In 3 dimensions, you're stuck with in and out. And so now you have to explain where it goes, this in thing, and where the fuck the exhaust is. So you're pulling in all this space. Well, where the fuck does the space go? Where's the outlet? Where's the anus of this feeding machine?
Maybe it's like that movie, the Spaceballs 2, the Schwartz be with you and the giant vacuum cleaner sucking up.
Well, yes, it's very similar in the sense that it's this, like you're saying, where are you going to get the energy? You remember where they plugged it in? What did they plug it into? I can't remember what they plugged that vacuum cleaner into.
Oh, I was probably using the Schwartz.
Yeah, well, it was something I thought they plugged it into. Maybe you know, like they plugged it into the earth or they plugged it into something, but maybe I'm just remembering wrong. But yeah, that was just kind of funny. A transformer that makes a giant vacuum cleaner, you know, with a maid tied to it, right, or something. Didn't have like a giant maid pushing it.
Yeah, it's like on and off switch.
yeah. Yeah, that was a great movie. I mean, for a stupid movie, it was a great movie. I mean, it had those perfect moments, like that ludicrous speed thing was just so perfect. Yeah, that was like a top 10 moment in cinema history.
Actually, the guy in that film's become a recluse. He doesn't get out in public anymore. I think one of his children died or something.
I have that problem also, so I empathize. Oh
well.
Yeah, no, I'm agoraphobic. You know, I've been for 40 years.
You're what?
Agoraphobic. You know. So
yeah, I know what that means.
I'm kind of housebound.
From some perspective, I understand a little bit about that. So the only thing I can say is, I know maybe get a bit of vitamin D3 and some more sunshine.
Yeah, right. Like I don't get enough of that.
Yeah, I noticed you do quite a few garden videos.
Yeah, I mean, people tell me exactly the opposite. I got to get out of the sun, you know.
Oh, okay, because you're not wearing your shirt all the time.
Yeah, and I don't wear sunscreen, and I'm gonna vitamin D overdose and skin cancer all over the place. But you know,
maybe it's vitamin D that does it.
Yeah, or maybe it's genetics, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you. So we were talking about. I'm just going to read this out. These are my thoughts from the other night, 2 in the morning or something. Okay, so if I put a 1-volt battery at the end of the piranha field, and now it's unequal pressure on the piranha, is that how the current of the quanta appear to flow through the wire? But in reality, it's
all you're really doing, okay, what a battery's doing is the same thing your body's doing, which is it's storing polarization. So you have to just think in terms of color.
I'm glad you caught me because I was going to catch you out on this.
Yeah. See, you have to remember that the fish always go straight through. Okay, so even in this description, you know, the things do go straight through. It's the only thing that's getting banged off to the right is the polarization. Okay,
Yep.
the suit is going this way, the clothes are going this way, but the naked turtle went that way.
Hmm.
Okay, the real turtle, the bit. So in a sense, a battery is just storing clothes. It's storing fish wearing clothes. So with the polarization. So when it admits the fish back, when it lets them loose, they're not really more fish. They're just fish wearing clothes. If you get me.
Hang
It
on one
doesn't
second.
add fish. It just adds clothes, fish that have clothes on instead of naked fish.
So, sorry, I missed some of that. I got interrupted.
Yeah.
The next line of my statement says, it does not move. It's just a polarization that simulates movement. Is that correct?
Well, it's not simulating; it's moving. But I'm just saying it's the thing. The stuff is moving very not by not with something called momentum or action. It's moving as a consequence of being occupied by something that's moving. So it's like if I have a garbage can, I put it in my trunk of my car and I drive it down the road, and then I put the garbage can off. The garbage can technically didn't move, right? I moved it. So I'm saying the fish are moving the polarization. So but it's like a garbage can. It's like they're carrying the garbage can for a little while, and then they drop it, and then some other fish carries it, and then they drops it, and then some other fish carries it, and it drops it. But technically it's never dropped. Don't get me wrong. It always is on a fish until a fish hits another fish, and it's like I bang into you, and I have a hat, and I put the hat on your head, and then you keep the hat until you bang into somebody, and then you put the hat on their head. And then that person keeps the hat until they bang into somebody, and then he puts the hat on their head. You see what I'm saying? The interaction between the people is constant. The only thing that's changing is where the hat's going. And the hat's not going in some sort of straight line or in some sort of any rules. It's going based on which way the interactions happen. So if you were going left and I was going straight, the hat is now not going straight, it's going to go left. And you know what I'm saying? If you hit a guy who's going, 20 degrees to your left, then now the hat's going 20, you know what I mean? That's what's happening is the hat is going wherever the direction is the fish that I gave it to is going.
Yeah, I think where we kind of left off the other day, you were talking about the channel of electrons. If you jammed a whole lot of magnets into a plastic tube and you pushed it at the end, the electron's not actually traveling down the wire. It's just the field pressure of the push at the end.
Right. That basically you're not pushing. You're not. The force is actually the fish are actually doing the moving. You know what I'm saying? So the fish are doing the moving, but they're carrying the polarization. So and I'm just saying that when they're in the electron itself, they're doing this back and forth thing, right? So as I described the electron before, it's like all blue and there's green on the outside. So it's all going back and forth. Well, if there's a bunch of black coming in, that cuts it a break, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because now its vibration can go way into that field energy and then you know what I mean? Now it can swing in a much wider direction because it can go in the path of that friendly polarization. So now it's migrating through that friendly field, and it can move through the friendly field a lot quicker than it can through the hostile field of keep banging into this green crap. So the black is really faster, not because the fish are faster, but because it doesn't have to do this banging off of thing. It's going with the flow rather than against the flow, and the flow is always the polarization. That's the only thing the polarization cares about, right? If I'm wearing the hat, the only thing I care about is what's going to make my hat fall off. You know what I'm saying? What I lose the hat doing. And if I don't, if I have an interaction that doesn't require me to lose my hat, like I bang into you and you already have a hat on with the same color, I don't have to worry about giving my hat up. I can keep going in my straight line with my hat.
Yep. All right. Well, I think I'm going to have to disappear again. I'm going to look over what we've spoken about here again today, and I'll see if I can come up with some other things to entertain the room with. Oh, and that reminds me. So before I leave, just to change, can I change the subject a little bit? Can I read something for you?
Yes, as long as it's like Australian jellyfish or something. Yes.
No, it's from the Book of Neanderthal Jesus. Can I read Homo erectus 129?
If you must, but go ahead. Yeah, it sounds a little scary, but
Hang on a second. I've just got to. Oh, I'm having PC issues. Hang on.
PC, politically correct issues.
Homo erectus 129. The next day Homo seeth Neanderthal Zuth coming unto him and saith, Behold the lamb chop of God, which taketh away the spears of the world. And that's how I'd like to end your room today.
Well, it's a really shitty quote. It's really not funny at all.
Aren't they all? Aren't they all?
Well, I'm just saying.
Can't you take something from that quote? Hasn't it told you something important today?
No. I can never get past. As soon as I hear the word pork chop, my brain just shuts down. Pork chops are just so boring. Oh man.
All right. I'm going to disappear.
Yeah. No, it's good. Thanks. I
Thanks for
appreciate
your time, mate.
Yeah.
I'll try and formulate something more positive over the next couple of days, and I'll try and
Yeah,
drop
no,
in.
so look, questions are good, and stuff that is confusing that you don't quite understand. Like I said, it just I'm just saying I'm honestly wishing to be understood. So if there's something you don't understand, then it's really important. The lecturer guys always say that, right, in physics lectures, but no one will speak up because they're being graded. You know what I mean? They don't want to sound like an idiot, so they always pretend like, yeah, I do, I understand exactly what you're saying, but you can just see that the students are all saying, God damn, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Which is kind of funny, because there's no point in me talking about it if people can't understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, if there's a place where I already, where I threw a shoe and it hit you in the head, it's good to let me know.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of it does, quite obviously. I mean, I could talk to you about the sodium thing earlier before, because I've done a little bit of research into that, and that's common language. But you're trying to talk to me about something that has not really ever. There's nowhere that you could have this discussion with somebody and get familiar with the language. So I'm trying to understand what it is you're trying to impart.
Well, exactly. And you really have to have the thought in your head. Like, I'm already stuck with an idea in my head now. When I see a magnet, I'm seeing energy being polarized as it goes through, and I'm seeing it coming out a different color and all that kind of crap. So I already have a vision that's so presumptive. I already have axioms and presumptions that, I'm not realizing that other people aren't seeing that. So I have to first get them there.
Something that sort of that's going to suck is it's hard for you, from my limited perspective, to see how you can actually prove this without getting into a laboratory. Unfortunately, I don't know. How do you feel about that? How can you practically
I think a lot of it can be rationally proved. I mean, I think part of me proving it will just require me disproving the assumptions. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I think I've already debunked the double slit experiment quite thoroughly. I mean, I've pointed out how it's completely dependent on a contrived Huygens thing. The single slit abolishes the double slit significance. And then even when you're talking about double slit, like I said, their math doesn't match the actual pattern, which has two patterns in it. Their math doesn't account for the two patterns at all. So I'm just saying, I'm pointed out how, well, that's a huge fraud right there. And that's the foundation of wave theory. And then you just go on from there to the point out that Einstein's lensing, the experiment was never repeated successfully, that you really don't have any hard evidence that you ever bent a beam of light with gravity, all these things. So I'm just saying that I think there are experiments that can be done that will demonstrate this in the end, because it's logical.
After watching that Brian Greene video, when you criticized, like you spoke over and talked over and analyzed Brian Greene's video, it's pretty obvious that the guy is dancing around. He's sort of, there's some theatrics there, and they don't discuss that it's all dual split. There's no single split, which actually, that reminds me now, that Dr. Quantum cartoon type.
Yeah, that's what started all this, frankly. That's the video that motivated me to say physics needs to be fixed, because this is such bullshit.
Well, I remember seeing that some years ago, and I thought at the time, this is rubbish, but it didn't prompt me to do anything such as yourself. But the thing is, I actually kind of thought perhaps that was a bit of a joke, and because at the time it reminds me of something else that came out, that there was a book called The Secret, and it was all spiritual, and somehow those two things were tied, But it's unfortunate because you had a viewer yesterday asking you over and over and over, and it was quite frustrating for you. Person kept saying, you know, the viewer, the observer is changing the outcome. But you and I know that that's rubbish. But this person, unfortunately, has been educated now to think that's true.
Yeah, well, that's why I got so hostile about all this, is because it was based on an experiment never performed. You know, they're talking about it as if it actually was done, where they actually did this observer effect. They never even did it. It's a thought experiment. It wasn't even a real experiment. You know, so I mean, yeah, to make these huge leaps to such preposterous crap, as if somehow, like I said, there was some energy emanating from our consciousness indicating our intent, and that it was somehow offensive to the photons. I mean, it's just so ludicrous.
They did say in that Dr. Quantum video, like they've got a graphic of an eyeball, and they said there was some sort of a shield to observe it, which affected the outcome. And you and I could say, okay, maybe it had some sort of an interference on it, some sort of mechanical interference, but
I'm just saying it's not an observation; it's an interference. So
exactly, and to tell people that just because a human looks at something, that's going to change the outcome. It really makes you wonder who wanted that video promoted and
well,
made.
That's the part, like I said, that's where it got so offensive, is they implied that there was data storage, and that if you didn't record the data, that somehow the experiment changed. So if you didn't read the results of the experiment, the results would be different. And that was the part that was just really obscenely bad, because that's just totally connecting it to some sort of conscious action. You know, you can't make that into an observer effect. That's really on a motivational thing. Why should it matter whether my eyeballs are pointed here or my eyeballs are pointed at the screen with the results? Yep. Me knowing the results somehow violates the experiment? I mean, come on, that would be idiotic.
Yeah, and there's people still, like I looked at it last night, and it's like, I remember watching this years ago and thought it was crap. But there's people still watching it today.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's all these physicists out there, Brian Greene and Tyson and all these people, if they said, hey, this video is obnoxious to the science of physics, this is a disgusting piece of propaganda and crap, you know, they would take it off. But they say nothing. They don't mind physics being represented this way. And, you know, with lies, with overt lies. You know,
I guess in probably their defense, it's not up to you or I or those people to go and have to look at every YouTube video and police it.
I'm just saying, it's got you know, millions of views. This isn't just a minor thing happening. I'm just saying all of these scientists know how much the lectures get views, and they know that this is really the #1 viewed science video. So I'm just saying, there's no way they can't be aware of that fact, that this is how their physics is being represented, and the fact that it doesn't offend the fuck out of them, okay, in my opinion, is on them, bad on them, right? I mean, they're, you know, if you don't have enough balls to defend your science, you don't have a science.
Well, it's quite obviously deliberate, isn't it, to make people believe the wrong thing?
Well, I'm just saying, if you know, if there was some biology video out there that had millions of views that implied something that were just a bunch of lies about what the science of evolution was, the evolutionist would say this doesn't represent what we're talking about, and there should be a warning placed on it or something placed on it to indicate that our science doesn't agree with this at all, that this is not representing our science. I mean, they could at least put a notice on it saying, you know, many physicists, and give a list of the physicists, have stated that this video does not represent the state of their science.
Reminds me of a global warming statement. 30,000 scientists have signed this petition. Yeah. All right. Look, thanks for the chat this afternoon.
Yeah.
I won't leave you with any more words from the book of Neanderthal Jesus.
Okay. I'll probably be able to live without them. If that was one of the best quotes, I know the second best quote, I'm not really looking forward to.
All right. Mate, thanks again.
I don't get jokes, so I'm the worst person to tell a joke to, because I just don't get it. Could take me a week to
the actual point of that statement is it actually says nothing. It's not saying anything. It's like the rest of those particular style books.
I like that it was making fun of Zarathustra, so it did throw a little bit of a Nietzsche dig in there. So I thought that was good because it was written like Nietzsche's Zarathustra. So that
Oh,
was
Zarathustra.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
So it was a little bit of a bastardization of the Bible and Nietzsche bullshit.
I didn't pick that up. Mazda Thuda.
It sounded like, I'm just saying, it sort of sounded like something written in the style of Nietzsche. That's all I was saying.
All right, I'm going to shoot off, mate.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
See you later.
Till
Enjoy
next
yourself.
time. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
No, that was productive, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Hope. Maybe. Mostly. So anyway. Yeah, Forever Well Films. Oh, Amanda. And so I don't know do I have anything else that I wanted to get to. Just saying that I think this is, so many of these things, like I said, the virtual photon thing is just such a win for me. The idea of the nuclear gravity is so obvious now. I mean, I think I've just, I nailed that one. I mean, that's the way to really look at gravity. Gravity really doesn't have anything to do with big things. It just has to do with the little shit inside of you. The electrons are being moved by gravity. The protons are being moved by gravity. The big shit couldn't care less. What else? Well, not much. Just another insult to the Ken fans. Maybe I'll use Ken's real Ken Wheeler. Maybe I'll have to get more personal or something. Because he got personal. He's like I said, he hasn't changed his rhetoric any. Like somehow he's defeated me because I have long hair, and I lived in a house that was, the average temperature in here for the last 3 months has been 85 degrees. So yeah, I don't wear a shirt in the summer. Oh my God. I mean, woo, isn't that just something to mock somebody over? So anyway, I'm just saying, if these people are if they're supposed to have the truth and they're supposed to have the knowledge, then they shouldn't be afraid to make, I'm asking them, please, if you think you can ridicule me and make fun of my intelligence in person, go for it, asshole. If you think you've got the argument, if you can play the game of this kind of chess better than me, physics chess, you think you're a better physics chess player than me? Well, quit talking and prove it, you pussies. I mean, you really are just disgustingly foul creatures that you would just slander people from afar and have no detestable manhoodiness to stand up and fight a fair fight. I mean, claiming you're the chess champions when you won't play the chess champion, fuck you, pussy. Again, they're the ones running away. They're the ones hiding. So, I'm here, fuckers. And I'll accommodate you. So you PM me with your Skype name and a time you want to have the interaction, and you think you can defend Ken's babble, then do it, fuckers. Renetto. So yeah, Renetto wasn't too good. Yeah, he wasn't too good at argument either. Oh, fuck. Did a video showing me his lawyers. Oh, that's pretty funny. I've got 3 lawyers. Well, I guess you don't have many more. Did Renetto, is Renetto completely poor yet? Or I know he had hard times. I shouldn't gloat. He has a lot of kids to take care of. But I know he was pretty busted for a while. Yeah, well, who has the last laugh, right? So yeah, he's not laughing now, is he? Well, he might still be laughing, but it's the pitiful laughter of the homeless lunatic. Yeah, well, he was always selling candles, but I just mean he had a pretty big, disaster in his financial life, and completely road to ruin kind of stuff, and bankruptcy and whatnot, and blah blah blah. So I guess all his kids will have to work their way through college, which is not a good thing. But I'm just saying, they were laughing too. So, ha 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 ha. Ha. Yeah, I'm still just as poor as I was before. I didn't get any poorer. Ha ha. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny. It's not really funny. I just mean it's funny in the life is ludicrous department. Like I said, I don't really wish Renetto's not entirely a troll or anything, so I don't really hate a Renetto. I hate Anonymous more than I hate Renetto. Yeah, Anonymous sucks. They're not on our side. They're just secret agents for the Illuminati. All right, so I guess that's it. Let's see, maybe one more screen share of the lovely arrow that I haven't finished. I'll give you some last little arrows to go by. Last little arrow image for fun. Might as well reload it so the arrows do something mildly interesting. But yeah, I do have to finish the arrows. Look at that. Look at all those arrows. They're so cool. Arrows everywhere. Yeah, that's what it's all made out of. We're all made out of just that. Just a bunch of jerky, stupid arrows. Some that have a different color than the other arrows. And they end up segregated. Yeah. So it just mimics reality in a sense. Wow, it's completely frozen. It's really weird. Screen sharing just completely wiped it out. Let me see if I reload it, what happens. That's a little better. Come on, move, go. It is a little bit slow, and it's going to get slower, which is a problem. So I guess I'll have to video it once it's done, and then speed up the video, I guess. I mean, it's not this slow though. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just boop, boop. But screen sharing is probably rather resource hoggish, so I suppose it's understandable. See that? Look at change color. See, change color. Then it'll hit the blue one and change color again. Then hit the red one and change color again. Unfortunately, some of the color changes aren't correct. Like that red arrow going backwards. Whoops. No. Red arrows can't go backwards. And they can't do that. That was just totally illegal. Well, what had actually happened is it went blue, red, and then ended up red all the way over there. But so technically it was legal. It just didn't look legal. So anyway, yeah. So I still have a lot of work to do. It's not quite there yet. So it's going to take me a little while. It is complicated. It's really. You have to, because it has to behave different for when the blue one hits a red one, and the red one hits a yellow one, and the green one hits a this one, and that one hits a this. So you got to make like 7,000 rules, but you want to try to cut it down to like 6 rules. And it's really, you have to think kind of a lot to be able to cut it to fewer rules than listing every single solitary rule. So it does take a little bit of thinking to do that. But anyway, I'll get to it and such, maybe. Well, I have things to do. There's floors to fix and whatnot. So I do have a lot to get done this one last month of palatable weather. I got to get going and such. Fuck. Yeah, sorry. Just thinking about, reality. Oh, damn. I hate reality. Yeah. So yeah, it will be a big field too. See, it scrolls. So I haven't even begun to arrow. All right, I think that's enough. Turn off the screen share. Say a proper good night. I think that's what I'll do. Let's see. Holy fuck. The chick who runs this channel is strung out on the Heaven's Yop. Well, that's just so interesting. Good night. Forever. Some sort of Kongasm. Yeah, retardedism. I really hate people. Okay, so till next time and such. Yeah. And whatnot, and so forth.